Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the brand new Miguron Premium Moyarl. I had reviewed the more budget-friendly version that's in 14C and G10, and this was one of my favorite budget knives last year. So my hope is that this one is that much better. There's other variations than the one I have here with the all tie. You could also get one with the inlays in them. They have copper foil carbon fiber, and they also have the aluminum foiled carbon fiber as well. They both look beautiful, but I do love me some of their titanium milling. To me, this is a perfect size for EDC at 7.57 inches long with a 3.2 inch drop point blade of Bowler M390 stainless steel, with a beautiful, beautiful hand rub satin finish. Hopefully that's coming across. I mean, beautiful. And supposedly they do that by hand. I mean, it feels so nice and slick to the touch. We'll see how it holds up to some use, but I love the actual look of it. And it should help it pass through dense material a lot cleaner and a lot easier because of that slick finish. Whenever you have PVD coatings and stuff like that, sometimes they cause drag in those type of materials, but I've found these hand rub satin finishes go through the materials the nicest. You do not have any jimping up top, but a nice flat spot to rest your thumb. Not something I'm really concerned about. You have a decent point for piercing task. And this is still going to be a fairly versatile blade, even though that tip comes above the center line of that pivot. You can still get it down to make some cuts. And the only thing that I'm usually concerned about whenever you have that higher tip is that belly's usually curving up a lot. And whenever you're going through materials in hand, like cutting through cardboard and stuff like that, your natural arc of your wrist could make it slide out of the cuts. And that's something I'll have to check out whenever we do the testing. You do have a full forward finger trawl right here that allows me to choke up all the way to that edge. So if I need to make a nice controlled cut, I can do that very easily. And it should allow large and extra large hands to be able to fit on here nicely. Choke back like this, I get a nice 4-finger grip. I'm sure you could probably fit, I still have a little bit left over. You can fit large hands there, but your extra large hands, you'd probably have to choke up right here. That's where, anytime I'm doing in-hand cuts, that's where I'm going to be anyway, because I don't want to get hung up in that section. That also doubles as a sharpening choil, so you're going to have a lot of sharpening life before this will start to flare out on you. I like the grind of the Moyarl. It's like a slicer grind. You have a flat right here, then it goes into a full flat grind. And this flat grind comes down nice and thin at around 14 thousandths behind the edge with a 20 degrees per side edge bevel. Should be very, very slicey. Knife came really sharp out of box. One thing I noticed right away, of course, you need to be in that choke-up spot, because if you're not, you're going to get hung up in that larger area. I mean, that's why it's there. It makes you really locked in, and it feels like it's ground pretty nice and thin. It's slicing very well, and I always love seeing those hand rub satins from Miguron, because they always seem to perform a lot better on the dense fibrous materials like rope and stuff like that. Now let's test the ergos, and of course you got a lot going for this one. You got contouring on the scales. The micro milling's not too sharp or anything. It's very comfortable, and I'm choked up, very locked in. So yeah, no hot spots that I noticed. The clip stayed out of the way of my palm. I'm able to get a lot of force into the wood, and couldn't be happier with the way it felt in my hand. Of course, it could be thicker, but not going to complain about that. Now, because of that belly, it's very, very easy to do these flat cuts on a flat cutting surface. I'm sorry, cuts on a flat cutting surface. And the edge has a good bit of bite to it. It's going through the rope rather easily. I'm doing mainly push cuts. You can see me doing that pointer finger grip. That means it's nice and sharp, because I can't do that if it's not. Yeah, it's performing nice. The edge is holding up well. And, you know, I've never really had any issues with Miguron's, their steels, you know, not doing good. Yeah, they're not, I'm sure they're not Rockwell to 60 plus or something, maybe 60. But they do a quality heat treat. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, very comfortable. We end up getting through, I didn't cut that big of a piece of rope. We get up through 150 cuts with literally no problem whatsoever. And I know I could have done more than that. but I'm not trying to test for edge retention. I'm just making sure, see how it feels when doing this type of stuff, and making sure that you don't have any crazy rolls or chips after I do this kind of stuff. But so far, so good. You can see me back in that pointer finger grip, switching back and forth, because I had tested 3 other knives before this one, and I got a pretty nice sized blister. It's my permanent blister. That pops out rather quickly once I start doing this stuff. So maybe I can figure out that jig that I started doing and make this a little bit less painful for me. It just takes so much time using the jig that I have set up right now. But yeah, so far so good. I'm enjoying it. Now, you can use the tip to do a drag cut like you see there, but you do have to come up. You can raise your elbow a little bit higher. It's more natural just to use the belly of the knife, but everything else is gliding through it just as I thought. The tubing, no problem whatsoever. That slick finish on the hand rub satin, as well as, you know, this dense cardboard, is making it go through it very, very easily, and it's still stupid sharp. Blasting through the 10-ounce denim, no problem, and this one was a joy to test. Love this knife. Excellent job. Now let's take a look at the deployment and the action of this knife. And I was excited to see if this action compared to the budget one, because that one is so fun to use, and it's comfortable, and it's snappy. This one is even better. The reverse flick, just like the other one, is perfect. It's got a perfectly tuned detent, and you know, it's fairly drop shut. I'm not too worried about it being a guillotine because I prefer a nice controlled drop, and it definitely has that. I've not taken this one apart, and usually after I take them apart and put my own lube in there, they usually get even smoother than this. So if I want to do that, I can. You can thumb flick it easily. You can slow roll it, and being that you have the hole, you can spotty drop that as well. Very smooth riding on ceramic bearings with a ceramic detent ball. And that thumb hole's easy to access, and it's nice and comfortable. So as far as the action goes, and compared to the budget Moyarl, I find it to be a nicer controlled drop to it. These get pretty darn smooth as well, but this one just has that silky glide to it. Let's take a look at this handle. I love Miguron's micro milling on their tie. I think it looks so classy. It offers the perfect amount of texture without being too rough. Got beautiful contouring on the scale, so that makes it very comfortable in hand. You have a flush pivot with the Miguron logo on it. All your hardware is Torx T8, and it's very crisp hardware, as you can see there. Very nicely done. Even your pocket clip screws are Torx T8. Excellent job. You have a pop of color on this side with a pivot collar, blue anodization. I'm guessing that's a titanium pivot collar. You have a hardened stainless steel lock insert in there. And besides all the micro milling and the contouring to bring down the weight, they've also heavily skeletonized the top and bottom scales of it to bring down the weight as much as possible. Coming in at 107.7 grams or 3.79 ounces. Outstanding. You have a titanium back spacer, mill tie clip. It is tip up, right hand carry only. And up until this point, I'm absolutely loving this knife. There's only one problem, and it's probably gonna be a deal breaker for some people, but luckily I found a fix and it takes care of the problem for me. But I hate this pocket clip. They use this on a few of their knives. I hate it. See how thick this piece is right here? And then you have the lock relief on the outside. Why? Put the lock relief on the inside. You keep this so clean. Look, you wouldn't have to break up this pattern at all. Put a flat spot underneath this pocket clip. The way this sits right now, this is a pocket shredder. Let's see if I can let you hear this. Look, first of all, see how it's bunching? It's bunching up in that stuff right there. You heard that? So it gets hung up in and out. But there is hope for this knife for me. Possibly you as well, or yeah, you could. Anybody could fix it if they wanted to, and let's check that out now. This clip right here came from this one. Now, why he didn't put this clip on here, I don't understand. But this one functions way better, in my opinion, than this one, because you see how thick it is right here. That causes a lot of tension. They're the same length. So you see how thin it is right here. That allows this to come up a lot easier. This one does not flex as good as this one. So at least if you already own the budget one and you get this one, you could swap it out if, this one bothers you. And, that's one fix. The way this thing sits, hopefully you can see that, it's not sitting on the lock bar. It's sitting on the opposite side over here. So it's not going to cause any trouble here. And even though my material on my pants rubs on that, it didn't get hung up at all. So not ideal, but there is a fix to it. You can also buy these clips on the Miguron site for $10. So if you already own one of these and you want this clip and you don't have one of these to swap it from, that's a possibility. I tell you, Miguron has improved just so much in the last year, 2 years, like leaps and bounds. So I know they're still working out things. I mean, at least they're giving us clips that are all the way back here and not like way over here like they were doing. I'm a patient man, and I love everything else about this knife. That was the biggest downfall for me, just because it was so tight and it was becoming a pocket destroyer for my pants. I wear lightweight shorts because of my accident, so it may not be the case for you, but for me, I can't stand that clip. So this is how mine's going to stay. So yeah, I know the last thing anybody wants to do is have to fix something on a knife that they just purchased. But I like this knife that much that I'm not going to let the pocket clip stop me from carrying this knife. So, I'm going to leave that other pocket clip on here, and that takes care of it for me. If you are interested in this knife, I'm going to have it linked in the description. It is an affiliate link that helps support what I do here on this channel, but you don't have to use it if you don't want. No big deal at all. Let's take a look at the lockup. Mine is sitting at around, I'd say 30, maybe 40% most. Access to the lock bar is good because this side comes in a little bit further. Plus you got a nice chamfer. It is so comfortable for me to get my finger in there. No problem whatsoever. And even when I'm cutting it, it doesn't feel like I'm going to disengage the lock or anything because it's too far. That's the perfect amount right there. The lockup on mine, super, super solid. No movement up or down, left or right. Nice and tight. Bada boom, bada bing. Quick size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. Very similar to the Miguron Carex and the Spyderco Tenacious. Also very similar to the CJRB Echo and the Volsteed Raccoon. And lastly, it's similar to the Flytanium Arcade, and it's a little bit bigger than the Benchmade Bugout. Nitpicks and complaints. There's no lefty love. Not something that affects me any, but I know there are some lefties out there. And the pocket clip. Can't stand it, but I've already found a fix. I would also love to see them put the lock relief cut on the inside. Keep these lines looking so clean, especially when you have this beautiful micro milling there. It wouldn't break it up at all. It wouldn't be hard to do that on the inside. That would be great. Just take this pocket clip and throw it in the dumpster. I don't know. I'm sure some people like the pocket clip, but for me, maybe if they didn't have this and they had a flat spot, maybe it'd be perfectly fine. I don't know, but it just seems like it puts it in tension for some reason. But other than that, I absolutely love the Moyarl. I love the budget one, and I love this one even more. I love that hand rub satin. I love the micro milling, and I love the ones with the inlays as well. I'll have all 3 different variations of this linked down in the description if you're interested. And I will also link one of the budget knives also, because if you don't already own a Moyarl of some sort, do yourself a favor, check it out. It's an outstanding knife. So yeah, there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.